Hello students. The lab that you're going to be working on today is going to be involving aqueous ionic solutions and trying to identify if there are reactions that will occur when those solutions are mixed. Now, what exactly is an aqueous ionic solution? Well, an aqueous solution is some solute, some material that's going to be dissolved in a solvent, most typically water. So all of our materials are going to be found in this container right here. And what you have to do to get this set up first is make sure that you are abiding by our lab safety guidelines. Our first one is that you're going to have the goggles on. If you have long hair, that long hair has to be tied back. Baggy clothing needs to be secured. If you so wish to have a lab apron on to make sure that you don't get anything spilled on you, they're in the back of the room. No closed-toed shoes, and since we don't have a Bunsen burner lit today, we're not heating anything. What I'm okay with is you sitting down doing this lab. What you're going to need for this lab would be this paper right here, and we need to put this into a plastic bag. So to serve as our plastic bag, you need to grab one of the bags that says Kramer on the side of it. Now, one side of the Kramer bag is going to have this red logo. We do not want that side on the same side as your answer blank. Okay, so what you're going to do is this. You're going to open up the bag. We're going to put the worksheet into the bag, but we're going to make sure that the wording, all of our different chemical formulas are on the side opposite of the actual Kramer logo. You want to make sure that your bag is nice and flat on the surface of your table. If you need to, and I wouldn't really suggest this for everybody, it's just occasionally, sometimes your paper seems to wrinkle up a little bit, or the bag, it's not real flat. You might want to get small little pieces of masking tape and put those on the side of your bag so that way it stays secure. If there are little ripples, what's going to occur is the solution will run down the side of those hills and it'll start mixing when we don't want it to mix. What I'm going to do is we're going to adjust the camera so that way you can see this close up, and then we're going to show you the directions for the lab. Now, what you're going to find is at the top of your lab sheet, you're going to have all the different chemicals that you're going to need to use throughout the lab, the different solutions. And then those same names are on the sides. What we are going to do, and again, making sure that this is nice and flat as what we can get it, we're going to take just 2 samples at a time. So I just grabbed 2 out of the stock drawer here, and my one, it says it's potassium iodide, Ki. Now, make sure that as you're going through the lab, you're not just saying, what's Ki? I want you to start getting to know the names of it, all right? Become familiar with the names of the formulas and how they're written out. You don't have to memorize it right now. That will come with time. But start getting used to seeing and saying the names so that way you're educated on the material. The other one I grabbed here, it is lead nitrate. Okay, so what we're going to do is mix these. To do this, we need to find, and the first one I grabbed is lead nitrate. I'm going to look on my list and I'm going to follow through and I'm going to see where lead nitrate is. And I see lead nitrate, PbNO32. It is this first column right here. Bell. All right, so what we want to do is we want to loosen up the cap, get a sample of the lead nitrate in the eyedropper, and then we're going to drop. Now notice how I said that. Drop a sample of that solution into each one of these squares. It's called an eyedropper, not an eye placer. okay? So we don't want the end of the eyedropper coming in contact with the paper, and we definitely don't want that end of the eyedropper coming in contact with other chemicals from other containers. So we're done with this in that column, but what I want to do is I want to find, is there a row on this that says lead nitrate? So look through the side, and I do not see it on the side, so I'm all finished with the lead nitrate. I can put that back into the sock drawer. Next up, I have the Ki, remember, potassium iodide. Potassium iodide, I'm going to find where it's at on the columns, and then wherever that's at, and I see, let me find it here. Right here. Here's potassium iodide. So in that column, I'm going to go through and I'm going to drop one sample, one drop into each one of those cells. Now you're going to notice that some of these cells have a black background to them. There is a reason for it, which you'll find out as you work through the lab. I have all of the column filled up. Now I'm going to look over on the rows, and I'm going to see if I can find potassium iodide. Right here is potassium iodide. Now, I do not, whatever you do, do not put that eyedropper into the lead nitrate drop that's on the paper itself. The reason why is if you put that eyedropper into the sample that's on the paper, you're going to contaminate the eyedropper, and then it's going to ruin the lab for everyone else. All right, don't do that. So when we drop this in, what I want to watch for is there an indication that a chemical reaction has occurred? So some indicators that chemical reactions have occurred. First off, you might have a color change. That's not the best indicator, but it is an indicator. You could have the production of a gas. All right, so production of a gas would mean that you've had a chemical reaction, some hydrogen gas, for example, could be produced. Maybe you have the production of light. Maybe you have the production of electricity. Maybe you have a smell that occurs. I don't want anybody smelling this, so I'm just going through the list. Another indicator that you might have a chemical reaction is if a precipitate forms. A precipitate is going to be a solid that forms when you mix two different solutions. So whatever happens, I want to, on my lab sheet, indicate that. So here we go. I'm going to drop this on, and there we go. Now, if you notice, something happened there. We have a color change. So that color change, I would want to indicate on my lab sheet that, one, a chemical reaction has occurred. I have an indicator being that the color changed from a clear liquid to a yellow color now. And, well, if you look closely enough, what you're going to see is you're going to see some yellow powder that's at the bottom of that. All right, that yellow powder would be the precipitate that I was talking about just a moment ago. So we would want to indicate on our lab sheet that that is a yellow precipitate that has formed, and that is our indicator that a chemical reaction has occurred. Now, once we're finished with those two bottles, those two solutions, I can put those back, and then I grab out of my drawer another sample, this one right here. It is SO4, that's copper sulfate. So again, I'd follow the same procedure. I would find copper sulfate along my column headers here. I would place a drop of copper sulfate in each one. Oh man, that was not good. Now if that happens, actually I'm kind of glad that happened. If that happens, what we're going to do is take a small piece of paper towel. Now you don't want to rub this. What you want to do is just dab that solution up, okay? so that way it's not going to interfere with anything else. You don't want to rub rough across the paper because then that's going to make a big mess. So let's try that again to see if I'm more successful with it. We'll get my dropper, and in every one of these columns, or every one of the cells in this column, I'm going to put my copper sulfate. And then in every row, once I find where copper sulfate is at, looks like right here is my copper sulfate. Let me get a little more in here. What we'll do is in cell number 72, where my potassium iodide and copper sulfate are, I'm going to add something, and well, I'll let you be the indicator if a chemical reaction has occurred and what actually happened with it. I'll come across, and then when I get to the first column, that's where that lead nitrate is, and I'm going to put a drop of the copper sulfate into that. And you can kind of see right now why I chose, when I made this lab up, that I wanted to have the cell to be black as the background. So in this one right here, you can see that a white precipitate has occurred. So that is a good indicator that a chemical reaction has occurred between the copper sulfate and the lead nitrate. We will get into later what is actually forming, what those products are in a later lesson. But for right now, all we're looking at is to indicate if a chemical reaction is occurring when two solutions are mixing. Okay? When you're all finished, you should have all of these cells in here filled up with droplets. And to safely remove that, what I want you to do is take a trash can. You're going to take that trash can over to the edge of the desk, and we're going to drag that trash can, or I'm sorry, not the trash can. We're going to drag that paper into the trash can. So we'll put the trash can right up to the edge. We'll gently bring that in to the trash can, and we have our cleanup taken care of. To finish your cleanup, you need to make sure that your hands are all washed. Make sure that your table is clean and everything is put back. All right. If you have any questions, concerns, please let me know. Other than that, take care and have fun.